Hello and welcome back to Chatter. It's a different phase in our lives now. This is post-retention, pre-auction. But we've got the gang together again. But first, Dustin and Adi will join me in giving a huge round of applause to Nagraj, who got an incredible number of retention stories right. Well done, Nagraj. That's the highest strike rate you had in 35 years, I think.
You mentioned strike rate.
Nagraj doesn't like talking about strike rate.
Yeah, but he likes talking about IPL.
Oh,
We- I-
hello. Salah,
Hello.
2022 auction में किसने retention के time पूरा that was a better strike rate I had.
Nobody remembers that. We are
2018 I think was my best.
our memory is only as good as last season, and it seems like a lot of the franchises also have similar such problems. Because today's topic, and I must say
Franchises are definitely watching us, boys,
that they are. Everyone's watching, but I
and
must
every
go-
word.
Okay, listen, guys, all of you. I'm going to remind all of you what I said at the start of Chatter. This is a fun show with informed gossip. There's a serious amount of guesswork, educated guesswork. Doesn't come from nowhere, but it's not gospel either. So just keep that in mind before you start quoting us everywhere. No problem with that. You made Nagraj
Quote Ronak.
influencer overnight. But I also must say that and Nagraj can correct me here, we're probably into more guesswork territory now. It's one thing to know where the retentions will pan out. It's a completely different story to try and milk from franchises, even off the record, or even sort of not off the record, but even sort of on the out, what their auction strategy is. That's different playing field. So let's get into it. The simple question today is, where is Pant going? Where will Pant end up? Nagraj.
घूम फिर के घर ही आएंगे, but that will come.
What?
is the educated guess. But let's start with let's start with the obvious stuff. How many? 5 teams and need a captain, including DC, Punjab, LSG, RCB,
I mean,
KKR.
KKR.
Yeah, at least these 5 definitely
Who
need
else is
a
there?
captain. So, and
Punjab.
at least, yeah, Punjab we mentioned, yeah, and at least 3, if not. I mean, I think Punjab will definitely look for him. And the little info that is trickling out, it seems that he is on the list of the captains the franchise might want, at least on the short list. But that's a no-brainer, right?
I'm going to come back to your opening comment. Ghoom fir ke ghar aayenge. That had me blown away.
That would be bizarre
Let's
if
go
it
for it.
happens, because if Pant clearly didn't want to stay at Delhi, why would you want a player back who has openly kind of, even on Twitter, stirred the
Sorry,
pot?
hang on.
said
We
that
don't know
he-
if Pant didn't want to stay
Did
in
he-
Delhi or if Delhi didn't want Pant. We don't know.
I mean, if Delhi didn't want
Exactly.
Pant, then they will not RTM him anyway, right?
Uh,
But the point is, if they are planning to RTM him, that means that they wanted to keep him. And he
that's
wanted to
Sorry,
go.
completely
one more follow-up, which is maybe the only difference here was price point. And if they expect that he'll be cheaper than whatever it was that, maybe he asked for a 24, 25, like a Klassen, and they didn't want to commit that kind of money, and they feel like he'd be a 18, 20 crore player. Just hypothetical. I don't think he'll be an 18, 20. I think he'll be more. So for what it's
Yeah, but
worth.
I'm just saying, once that negotiation has broken down, there surely is some kind of a severing of relationship, which will be hard to rebuild. You don't want to get a player back in your team who said no. Even if, say, he asked for 25, they said 20, he said no. Is that somebody you want to get back in your franchise? What will his motivation level be now if you RTM him at a 19 or a 20, which is what you wanted him at in the first place? I would think that Delhi would not want to go down that route.
apologies and forgiveness. It's all available very easily in IPL. I think 2 teams will definitely push their luck as much as they can, which is Punjab, who obviously, because the thing is, Punjab have not had a very big Indian star for almost a decade now. Ever since Yuvraj Singh left in, they've not had
I
a
mean,
very big star.
KL
They had
Rahul?
Rahul.
Again, they had him for 3 years, 2 years. Or
I mean,
whatever.
the one whole auction cycle, one whole cycle.
Yeah, so but again, we can keep debating whether Pant is bigger than Rahul or is Rahul bigger than Pant. But point is, the thing is, they've not had a very big Indian star, and this Ponting, so who probably cleared up all the money in the world to go after their target, and RCB will definitely be. They've also cleared up enough amount of money to take their chances on one of Pant or Rahul. So my guess is either RCB or Punjab.
Do we know, Nagraj, what the likeliest factor was? Because that will give us an idea of whether the RTM is likely or not likely. My understanding or assessment was that Delhi were not convinced about Pant, the captain, and that subsequently led to Pant finding his way into the auction.
The knowledge that you just shared, it's correct. It's true that leadership is one thing that Delhi kept it open-ended or wanted to keep open-ended. That we are not committing that you will continue as a captain, but we want to. Whereas I think the player, if I understand from the info that we gather is correct, is the player was like more wanting to have that leadership, for sure, and in hand, and also have some other stuff he wanted to discuss, which the franchise said that maybe probably let's just first retain you, and then we can, once the auction's over, we can all get together and then discuss all these points. Well, only Rishabh Pant can tell us this, if it's true or not. It is apparently he who decided that I'm going to go to the auction. And this he decided about less than a week before the retention deadline of October 31st. So it went that late. If the event that late, the clear, simple question anyone will ask is if that relationship is whether it is, and we don't know, it's not better or something. It's just that the player was clear that probably I'm not getting this, so I want to go to the auction. So he wants some other franchise. He wants to see if there are other franchises who would want him. What is not clear and will never be able, we will not be able to confirm till it happens is on the auction day is whether Delhi will RTM. But like I said, the words used or shared with me is like they have the intent and they definitely want to, and they definitely have Pant as part of their auction strategy.
I'm just asking you a yes or no question here, or you can
Yeah.
answer in or no or otherwise.
Yeah.
Given you cited your previous auction record when it comes to your celebrated and decorated journalistic career, in the period of the retention to the auction, if you can recall, Nagraj, do you believe franchises tend to sort of clean it up a little more, give you more hygienic, good for what should be said in the world kind of responses? I mean, the right thing to say right now is, of course, Pant is part of our RTM plans. Of course, we're going to try and get a player like Pant back, even if you have no real bona fide intention of getting him back. So do you sense anything that's said now? I'm not saying they're going to lie to you, but do you sense that in this period pre-auction that you have to take it with a pinch of salt?
Yes, you have. It's a very good point. In this case, what we know so far is that the negotiations that happened went late into the day, and then at last minute, the player said that, okay, fine, I want to go to the auction. So we don't know whether both parties have fallen away. Now, if Pant wants to come back, Delhi know. If they want to RTM him, they also know that Pant will come back. And if we want Pant, the best of Pant, we would need to make him the captain. Are they willing to change that stance? If they are willing to change that stance, maybe then that RTM works. And then because the number will also be huge. It won't be. It would be in the vicinity of 20 plus.
25.
Is
100%.
our guess.
Yeah.
So if
I
you're
think
spending,
we're all agreeing
out-
this man's going for
yeah,
20
out
plus.
of what?
Yeah,
73
either him or
crores.
Rahul. Yeah.
Yeah,
Sorry.
out of 73 crores, if you're spending, let's say, even on a conservative estimate, 23 crores, which leaves them 50 crores, and they will have about 5 players off if they buy Pant.
I'm strongly of the opinion, irrespective of where Pant goes, he's probably going to be the most expensive or the second most expensive. And even if Delhi were to RTM him at 26, I'm still thinking 49 or a 50 crores is a really very, very good amount of money to build a squad.
That's a good point Adi makes, because it's basically just putting Delhi in the league of MI, SRH, and the guys that shelled out 75 and go into the auction with 45. So it simply adds to Axar, Kuldeep, Stubbs, and Patel. You have Pant at, say, 25, which could have happened pre-retention negotiation and has happened through RTM. So it's possible.
It could also depend purely on between Shreyas, Pant, and KL, whose name comes up first.
Yeah.
Right? Because let's say a Shreyas comes up
Very
first.
good point.
Delhi have had Shreyas as captain before. They might go for him. If they get him at a decent price, they might say, okay, that's it. We've got our captain, and now we don't need Pant. But if Pant's name comes up first, then Delhi might say, we don't know if we'll get Shreyas or KL or any other, captain for the side. So let's just go for Pant. It could come down to that.
And that's an excellent point.
The auction dynamics will definitely play a role, and especially if Shreyas comes first, Punjab might go for him. If Punjab go for him and buy him, then Punjab still have money to buy Rishabh Pant.
I can only tell you whichever name comes out first is going to be very unlucky because he's going to go for a less price.
No, I don't.
No, I don't think. What if Rishabh Pant comes first? Why would he go for less price?
This is a different option.
Or rather, okay, probably it definitely applies for Shreyas Iyer. if he's coming first, he's losing out on some money.
Wow. No, I actually think Shreyas is more sought after in some ways from a limited amount of franchises. I think Pant will be sought after by more franchises. Delhi took a call before the auction where there is a risk of losing Pant. That if Pant, a marquee Indian player, is key to your plans, you've got to nail him down and sign him. Right? That's the right way to do it. They have taken a call by putting him into the auction, basically saying it is okay if we lose Pant. The minute you put him in the auction, you could very well lose him.
It was not the money. That much I know. Here it was more than money. So here the player said that, okay, you're not agreeing to me. I don't know how. That's what we don't know how it was left.
That's a very good
Even
point.
now, Delhi have.
Nagaraj.
Even now, Delhi have a chance. They might tell Pant, we might RTM you.
I think the entire divorce or whatever, the temporary divorce, if we may call it, could not be because of captaincy also. So we don't know a concrete.
We're going by what we believe is reliable enough news. Otherwise, I see no reason why you wouldn't want to, in such a unpredictable and big auction, why you wouldn't want to nail your primary Indian player. Even though Pant's not had that kind of impact with bat per se in the last 2 years, there's no doubt that he is the most sought after player in the auction, and that tells you something. So right,
where is he going?
I shall tell you. I'll give you
Tell
my pick.
me.
It's pretty straightforward. I mean, come on. Punjab have not gone into this auction with 110.5 crore to get Smith Anderson and Thomas Draka, with due respect to them. They are going to get, in my view, 2 out of Pant, Rahul and Shreyas. I would be absolutely flabbergasted if they don't go for 2, because you need strong Indian players to build your team. And I don't see them going for Rahul with the history they've had. So I think they'll get Pant and Shreyas both. And that is where I stand on where Pant will end up, therefore. Let's go around the room. Dustin.
Just to be different, I'll throw in another team's name. I'll say LSG. Just because I've been watching videos of Langa and Pant getting along on Twitter.
Very good, Dustin. Very good.
And
Yes.
LSG need a big Indian name, so.
They do indeed. And in their case, the 2 out of 3 changes. There, it's likely to be Pant or Shreyas and not KL. So
Not KL, yeah.
that Venn diagram can be made for everybody. Go for it, Adi.
Punjab or probably Delhi.
Punjab or Delhi with the RTM. Okay, Nagaraj?
Sorry, can I make a correction?
You said RCB earlier. I think you want to say
so
RCB.
Punjab, RCB and Delhi RTM, it's pretty much anybody's guess. So Punjab and RCB are going to go big.
Okay, RCB. Nagaraj.
I think it's DC, but there's one team I just want to check. What is the number? No,
Which
yeah,
team?
okay.
Are you checking?
Which team?
No.
Say which one you
We
want to
don't
check.
have
That's
the
also fun.
Yeah, I saw.
He's
I
checking
saw that. That's what
CSK.
I was thinking. CSK 55.
CSK.
nahi hoga.
Yeah.
Nah.
I can see. They have a love for him and all, but I think they might fall short on the cash.
So wait,
But-
55. And CSK don't bid that high usually.
I mean, if CSK want
they
a
do
player,
bid high.
they
They do bid high, but they'll
but
fall
they
short
need
by a
to-
dozen crores. Yeah.
They need to get back a lot of their players like Deepak Chahar and all. I think they'll keep money for those players.
You know what? I actually don't rule out that the kind of philosophy they showed for a Deepak Chahar or Ben Stokes or Daryl Mitchell, they weren't the players that commanded that price, but CSK just knew they wanted them and they were willing to pay whatever. They're a very simple way to go. So if they decide that even with 55 crore, we're happy to spend 20, 23, 24 on Pant, and we'll build the rest with that kind of player that will fit the CSK model, I won't be entirely surprised. However, I end where I started with. There is no way Punjab are going in with 110 crore and not looking to get at least 2 out of the top Indians at the auction. So I cannot see them being outbid. It would make no sense. Thank you very much. This was Chatter.